So Lahari Indraganti is a botanist and Quaker-curious resident at the Beacon Hill Friends House. She cares deeply about sustainability and building radical hope during times of distress. Again, welcome. And we're really happy to have everyone here tonight. And Lahari, on to you.
I am so excited to share the second part of my two-part program on eco-grief, climate grief. This one hopefully will be a bit more hopeful for all of us. I think last week was really cathartic. It was so lovely to be able to share in community, just like some of our collective feelings of anger, grief, and rage, and really have that be held by the container that is this space. So hopefully this week will also be equally good for all of us. And this one's about a topic that's very close to my heart. It's about the topic of active hope. So here is the timeline of what we're going to be doing today. First, we're going to talk about eco-grief in context, in the larger context of this evening, and just also in context from last week, and also in the context of larger social movements. Why active hope specifically? What brings you hope, me hope, all of us hope? And then we're going to use some of that to work on a collective visualization exercise. And then we're going to do a little bit of a debrief about how this felt for you before we close. As Amelia talked about a little bit in my intro, the continuous existential threat of the climate crisis can be soul draining, and every adjective you can find a thesaurus for that word. It can just completely make you feel like a husk of a person. I've certainly had that experience, but we can always look to each other and to history for hope, especially because this isn't the first time that people have felt existential fear or anguish or angst. In fact, I don't even think it's a third time. I think it's more than that. So before we head into the hope portion of today, the active hope portion of today, let's talk about some other things. Some things that perhaps seemed impossible before they happened. Some things that perhaps seemed like dreams before they happened, or even jokes before they happened. The fact that women now have the right to vote in nearly every country in the world would have seemed laughable to someone not that long ago. That is something that's like a little bit difficult for me to wrap my mind around. Because when I was looking at the Wikipedia page for women's suffrage, I was like, really, 2015? That's like, I was in college then. That was not that long ago. But still, in this year, 2023, nearly every woman in the world has a theoretical right to vote. That's incredible. And maybe one day we'll feel that way about other things. The second thing I wanted to highlight, maybe just a few years ago, we would not have imagined a world in which an African-American man could have been a US president. But he has been, and he was. So that happened. That historic event has happened. It already has come to pass. This thing that could have seemed like a joke or laughable to someone from the past has actually already happened. How about the end of the apartheid? That seemed like it would have been impossible. And it definitely took far too long to happen. But it already has happened. This is in our past. This is in our rearview mirror. The apartheid has ended in South Africa. And of course, a classic, heliocentrism being accepted as a fact. Like Galileo was imprisoned for thinking that this could have been a thing. But now everybody knows that as being a fact. Like we teach that in school textbooks. It's like just something that we accept. I mean, it seems laughable and some of us are laughing, but this would have gotten someone laughed out, maybe put in an asylum, but it's reality now. This has already happened. So here's a quote that I could have just accepted was by Nelson Mandela, but I couldn't have done that. I Googled it. Turns out it's commonly attributed to him, but we don't know if he actually said it, but I love the quote, so I'm going to keep it in my presentation. It always seems impossible until it is done. Anything that's really difficult and heavy could seem impossible until it's actually done. And there's no better example for this than the climate crisis, because it's so entangled to so many other things. If you remember from last week, we talked about this really beautiful quote that's also commonly attributed to John Muir, about everything in the world being entangled with everything else. And that's certainly true for the climate crisis. It's entangled to every other justice movement in the world. And yet it feels impossible in a way that nothing else has felt to me before. And maybe one day within our lifetimes, we'll see a brighter future. So today, I'm going to be drawing a lot from the work of Joanna Macy and Chris Johnstone and their book, Active Hope. The way that they define active hope is it's not really hopefulness in a straightforward way, nor is it optimism. It uses intentions as guides, and they define it into 3 main steps. So first, we take a stock of our reality. We take a clear view of what's going on around us, the positives, the negatives, the neutrals. Then you want to figure out, what values do you actually want to live into? What are your defining values? And finally, what are the steps that you want to move to? What are some steps that you can take? So those 3 are the central tenets of active hope. So just to repeat, first, take stock of what you have in your life. Take a clear view of what's governing your life right now. Figure out what values you want to live into. What values would you like to live into? And finally, figure out what steps you can take. 4th step on here, which is try to find someone to do it with. Try to find many someone to do it. Because there's nothing worse than like just going at something alone. And as this filled room shows me, things are always better with friends, whether that be with a capital F or a small f. It's a little Quaker joke for all of you. As we hold this space together, I want to start off with some silence. But while we sit in that silence, I want you to look at a few things. What does hope look like for you? Where do you feel your hope in your body? And what do you see in this better world? So, what does hope look like for you? Where do you feel your hope in your body? And what do you see in this better world or this new world? Start us off. Hope to me looks like a kakapo, which is this flightless Australian parrot, because they were on the brink of extinction not too long ago. And now there's about 200 of them, and I follow them on Instagram, like the kakapo conservation people. And every time there's a baby chick, they post pictures of it, and it's like this whole thing where everyone's cheering for them. And it just brings me joy that there's people out there who are like trying, and it reminds me that like I can be one of them. Maybe I won't ever be able to see a kakapo in its natural habitat in my life, but I know that they're safe, and I know that someone's taking care of them. That's what hope looks like to me. It looks like a kakapo. Well, that was really lovely. And the next thing is one of the things that brings me hope. So I mentioned the kakapo, but here's another thing that brings me hope. I watched this video, I don't know exactly when, but about a year ago when it came out, called We Need a Library Economy. And yeah. And okay. It's called We Need a Library Economy by this YouTuber I really like called Andrewism. And it's a beautiful, beautiful video about how the future includes libraries for everything. You have libraries to share tools with people, a library of clothes so you can share warm clothes with people. So the idea of ownership becomes, in a sense, just unnecessary because everything that we own is collectively shared. And I just love that idea so much because, and I feel like it's not even so far-fetched because there are libraries that have 2 libraries that lend out like drills and stuff. I mean, I live in a house that's essentially a giant library. We all share resources together. I see people shaking their heads, nodding. And I love that. Feel like I'm living in my like future vision a little bit, which I love. So the next thing I wanted to bring up is, what are some things that bring you hope? And I want you to be as specific as possible. And how do these things make you feel? So this is where I'm going to start writing stuff on this little easel board here, as you'll see to my left. So we can use those things for like our collective visualization exercise later. I was just someone's comment about like pets, and also Caroline's comment about goodness in people's eyes was making me think of this line from Mary Oliver's poem, Rose's Late Summer. It ends with, it's talking about like these foxes that live in the valley and like the roses and the trees. And she talks about how she wants to come back as a tree full of waving branches. And then she says, fear has not yet occurred to them, reason they have not yet thought of. Neither do they ask how long they must be roses and then what, or any other foolish question. So it really presents this radical idea of just maybe sometimes thinking about things is, not thinking about things is okay. And I think it feels overwhelming where you almost have to give yourself permission to be hopeful, permission to be mindful, because there's so much that's weighing on you. But I think the space in this container that we've made is exactly that, is giving you permission to say, your life, you know what, your life is worth it. You can just give yourself some space to just take some time and be in the moment or think about some good things for once. And I think that's what makes like active hope to me different and more nuanced, in that you're not stepping away entirely, but you're letting that anger fuel you. I wrote on here, like, I guess I meant to say righteous ire, not rightful ire, but it's the same thing. We make mistakes. And like being angry in a way that it doesn't let you burn out, but being angry in a way that fuels you. Thank you so much, everybody, for sharing. I want to pivot to the second part of the question just for a little bit, but I'm curious to know, how does like hope feel to you? Like, where do you feel it in your body? Where do you feel, for me, I'll go first. I feel a sense of comfort, like in my chest. I feel just like a feeling of warmth, like dissipating through my body. I feel like tension releasing when I really fall into hope and really try to like sit in that mindful place for a little bit. I'm curious to know if anyone wants to share, how does that feel for you? These are all like physiological things too. They're emotional, they're intellectual, cognitive, but they're also physiological. You can feel them in your body. You carry this tension in your body. We talked about this a lot last week when we were talking about grief. Like, where do we carry our grief? Can be quite physical. So again, thank you so much for sharing. Meditation may not be for everybody, and if that happens to be you, I have some journal prompts up on the screen right now. You can feel free to use those to journal along. You can also step in and out of the meditation, whatever feels right to you. Meet your needs, do what feels right to your body. This activity again draws from my experience with DBT, or dialectical behavioral therapy. It's a big part of that is like really thinking about mindfulness in a real way, and visualization is a big part of it, like visualizing your safe place. So I'm drawing this from my experience with that. Again, this is not intended to be therapeutic, but it was for me, and you can use it in whatever way feels right to you. So again, if you're in the room, I have some binder clips and cardboard and pens and papers and stuff. So if you'd like to journal along, you can also follow along with my voice. So before we get started, I ask that you find a comfortable position to sit in. You can sit, stand, lay down, whatever feels most comfortable. Make sure your feet are firmly planted into the ground. Feel your energy leaving your body through your feet. Take a deep breath in and a gentle breath out. Using imagery Today, we're going to create a situation that's different than reality. If it's helpful to you, you can keep your eyes closed, open, or partially closed. I will probably keep my eyes open because I'm going to read something, but you're welcome to close your eyes. In fact, I'd welcome you to close your eyes. Before we go anywhere, I want you to find a place that is safe for you. A place you've been before, a place that feels welcoming and comfortable, a place where you feel safe. Once you've reached, take a deep breath. Fill your senses with the smells, colors, textures, sounds of this place of comfort. As you breathe in, really settle into this place of comfort, your safe place. And as you breathe out, just say the word home. Home. Breathe in. And as you breathe out, feel the comfort, fill your body, and say home. Home. If you're ready in this world, I'm going to ask you to look around this world. Smell the clean air, the air that feels crisp, that smells like nothing. Or maybe you smell some flowers, that's fine too. And as you open your ears, listen as you hear the birds chirp, the insects buzz. Notice that there are no cars around. Feel the grass under your feet, the dirt, the warm dirt. And as you walk forward, notice the people looking at you with their kind eyes filled with hope. And notice them looking at you and your eyes filled with hope. And as you keep walking, notice as there is no trash around you. Feel that joy in your heart. Everyone you pass is happy and has a home and care. Notice as you keep walking. That you see wildlife free of disease, healthy, happy. Notice them as they go about their day. Notice the lake with clean, fresh water. Notice that your plate is full of your favorite foods. Notice that you are at peace. And those around you seem to be too. Notice your pet dogs and cats. Notice as you pet them and they seem happy and in the moment. Notice that this world is not perfect and that there are still people who care, who want to make it better. Feel that comfort radiating through your body. Feel the tension, the relief as it permeates your entire being. Notice that as you work around your safe space, people seem relaxed and at peace. And notice that you seem relaxed and at peace. Now could take a deep breath. And as you let go, say home again. Home. When you feel ready, return your senses to this world. This real world that we share with each other. This beautiful, complex world that has a lot of room for improvement, but it's still our world. It's the one we have. Bring your awareness to this room, to each other. Thank you, everyone, for participating in that visualization activity with me. I want to be really clear. This isn't a fantasy. This is something that's achievable. Maybe not within my lifetime or your lifetime, but it is achievable. There will be a day in the future when someone will be talking about something else, and this will be part of the history. So this isn't just a fantasy for us to retreat to, although that's okay too. But It's for us to refer back to energize us. So here's another commonly misattributed quote that I want to read out to you. It's commonly attributed to Goethe, but I don't actually know if he said it, so we'll see. I love it though, so I'm going to go with it. It goes, whatever you can do or dream you can do, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now. Whatever you can do or dream you can do, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now. Active hope isn't about hope itself. It's about action. This is a meme that's a lot of you on the Zoom are my closest friends, so you've definitely seen this before. It's a very old meme, so I'm definitely aging myself. Friendship ended with individual despair. Now community anger is my best friend. Okay, if you get it, you get it. If not, ask me later next time. No one needs to despair on their own. We can be angry together. We can fill ourselves up with righteous ire together. We're in this together. This is all over our collective world. This is all over our existential threat. Thank you so much for being here tonight. And I want to just end with some silence. And if it feels good to you, please share how this felt to you.
We keep midweek free because we believe that this kind of programming should be accessible to all. So however, if you've gotten something out of this program and you're financially able to contribute, it would be an enormous help. Your donations to pay our facilitators and to keep this programming alive are much appreciated. And we'll see you next week, hopefully.